Never would I have ever known that it was actually possible to play Lucemon in a control style deck alone. So I came across this deck online the other day and it just looks really cool. It was so cool to the point that I had to show you guys what this can do. So huge shout outs to ProPlay Games and Danny G because they're the one who actually created this deck known as the Lucemon Control. I'll leave links to their video in the description box down below, so be sure to check that out. And that is exactly why I want to show you guys this particular deck and teach you guys all the ins and outs that you need to know in order to play it, and as well as some of my own implications. So let's get right into it. Alright, Digi-Egg cards. 4 copies of Demi-Meramon, just because it's really still great when it comes to the purple base of on deletion, draw 1, trash 1. That's really all what you're trying to run, and that's really all you need for it generally, because you're going to be trying to find your pieces that way, and it synergizes and combos very nicely with our rookies, which mainly the first one is actually Impmon, with its simple effect of on deletion, trash the top 3 cards of your deck. You want to mill a little bit to set up your trash, and setting up a little bit more trash, turboing a little bit, helps you meet those magic numbers of having 10 cards in your trash to require and go for combos with other cards in this particular deck too. Next, we got 2 copies of Psychmon, just because it's a meta call. A lot of people are hard playing stuff for free and reduced costs and whatnot. So having 2 copies of Psychmon is definitely the generic one that you want to go for. Otherwise, you guys can switch this up between based on your personal preference and what your local scene really looks like in general for competitive purposes. Now, continuing with our boss Digimon of a level 3, which is Lucemon right here. Lucemon, just simply by hard playing it, it recovers 1. Now, that's why you want to reach 10 or more cards in your trash, because when you do so, you can reduce its play cost by 8, making it 5 costs just to play. Now, also all turns, it can't Digivolve whatsoever, so you're always just going to be hard playing it like I mentioned, so that you can recover and, you know, set up your security for strong bombs. That's really all it is, and that's what it's all about. Therefore, you want to see it as often as you can. And then for level 4s now, 2 copies of Eismon Scatter Mode, and then just 1 copy of Dobermon right here. Just really good cards. You don't really necessarily want to be Digivolving them per se. Mainly, you actually want to be hard playing these guys, but you know, they help you cycle more cards into your trash, draw some more and whatnot, and continuing to sort of like set up, and that's really what they're there for, to chip away security at the same time. And like I mentioned right in the beginning of the video, it's just really cool to be able to play Lucemon in this particular build all by itself and alone as its like main focus of the deck. But did you guys know that there's also still Lucemon Shadow Lord mode and Lucemon Larva, which have been yet to be introduced into the Digimon card game. Now, I'm very sure and excited that they're going to be coming really soon. So eventually when we do get them, definitely be making a Lucemon updated deck profile, and that'd be really cool to actually have a fully functional archetype of it. And if you guys are just as excited, you know what you gotta do. Be sure to subscribe, turn on that notification bell right now so you stay tuned when those videos come out, and I just can't wait to talk about those. Okay, moving into our level 5s, definitely the 3 copies of Lucemon Chaos Mode right here. It is a Lucemon deck after all, which is why this is the main boss Digimon that we want to get into. Can't really Digivolve other on top of Lucemon by paying 7 costs, or otherwise you hard play it for 14 costs, but you can reduce the play cost for 3 for every 10 cards you have in trash. Not super ideal because like even so it still costs 5. Therefore, you were trying to find more ways to cheat this out for free with other cards, which we'll talk about later on. But with its when on play and when Digivolving effect, you can either delete one of your opponent's Tamers or their level 6 or lower Digimon, which is really good against certain specific matchups to give you the perfect removal you need at certain situations. We have Magna Angemon, which this one has on play recover 1, and that's all it does. Giving the inheritable of extra 1000 DP for every 3 cards you have in security is kind of nice to have as well. The only change I might make to this deck is to bump this up to 4 instead of playing 3, just because we want to recover as much as we can overall. And this one is just very easy to meet, very simple to play overall. But otherwise, yeah, the deck's pretty much perfect by itself, honestly. And then we have 1 copy of Maycrackmon, just a really nice utility one-off tech card here, you know, very handy every now and then, just to be able to delete one of our opponent's Digimon that's level 3, minus 3000 DP to something, and trash a card from our hand at the same time. And then what's inheritable, gaining 2 memory on deletion if it's 2 colors. It's kind of nice too. And then this is where we'll get to talk about some of our level 6s. Ophanimon 4-down mode, just still really good, being able to either recover 1 if you have a yellow source, or if you have a purple, you get to delete something that's level 4 or lower. Really good for double control overall. We're mainly going to be recovering more just because we're going to be Digivolving on top of Magnamon particularly, and it's only yellow. So yeah, but it has the on deletion fooling capability, which is nice. And as soon as you get into this card right here, you just want to be swinging as much as you can and pressuring and, you know, still win the game through the traditional means of beatdown overall. Then for specific matchups and scenarios, Shadow Seraphimon is just really, really cool. Being able to Digivolve for 1 on top of Seraphimon, which we don't play, that's totally okay though. But Digivolving on 4, which again, it's going to be particularly for Magnamon, so then we can de-Digivolve our opponent's stuff with not once a turn as long as their security is like removed every time. And it has an on-deletion recover one as well, and minus DP to stuff. Really good control again against specific and particular matchups, which is why this card is just really cool and good to have. Now for some really cool spice, we actually also have one Metal Gurumon Ace, a really nice hand trap that can surprise your opponents and stop their turn out of nowhere just by doing so. And it's just really cool to seeing some Ace cards to be played, and it just has a really good application to, again, really disrupt your opponent's plays in a very, very specific scenario. And you can surprise them too with it, which is cool. Now for some other spicier stuff. We have like 3 copies of Gallantmon right here. Funny enough, it can be very well comboed into this deck just because of its play cost reduction of potentially, you know, being able to play it for 1 cost or even 3 costs is really memory efficient. And when it on plays, when attacking or when digivolving, it pops a 6k or lower. If you can't pop a 6k, you pop a 13 or higher, and itself is 13k as well. So you can swing over stuff, a lot of bodies. You can just check, it has rush, attack, you know, just popping things over and over again with this guy. The longer it stays, it's just, you know, helps you actually win in secure game conditions a lot of times and win games by itself, basically. And you do want to see it as often as you can. But that's it for all of Digimon. Let's talk about Tamers. Kari is really just the best tamer after all, just because you do recover quite a bit. Having the memory tamer and having the yellow source is really what you need to synergize and talk about as we go into our purple and yellow related option cards too. But let's talk about our purple option cards first. Dead or Alive is the main way that we can cheat out our Lucemon Chaos mode in particular. That's how we want to be playing that card, so we can play it for free if it comes out in security, or sometimes we might have to just pay the 8 cost, and by doing so, we can have play the yellow Lucemon if we have 10 or more cards in our trash as well, which is kind of nice to have for sure every now and then, so we can juggle between the 2 Lucemons that you want to play. Then we also have 3 copies of Rivals Barrage. Not only is just a really good generic purple removal and destroying sort of like option card that deletes things, it also has a delay when it gets milled, which has a little bit of a synergy with an Impmon, so then we can use this delay effect to grab ourselves any purple card that we really want, mainly Digimon essentially, so then, you know, we can go for clutch plays. So that really becomes very forgiving when we play those one-off techs here and there because of this card. And then more purple stuff. Death Slinger, removing traps, because we mill a lot, we rack up our trash quite a lot. The more we rack up, the more valid Death Slinger becomes, so then we can actually pop things too, because of how good that card really is. And then moving into our yellow, purple related stuff, for Chaos Degradation, just one of the best removals, where there's almost basically no protection against it other than like Congo and stuff like that. But being able to, you know, just take out your opponent's Digimon, put it into security, either top or bottom, and then trashing another one afterwards is really good. And the whole idea of playing the purple and yellow stuff is, yeah, the options that's just giving us so much value when we do so, when we see it in security mostly. But then moving on to Flame House side, equally just as good, minusing 6,000 DP to one of our opponent's Digimon. We can easily play something that's 6,000 DP or less back from our trash as well at the same time, and by doing so, we can recover more things, especially when it comes to Magna Angemon. That's what we're trying to go for. And yeah, go for clutch plays. Flame House Scythe is just really good. I might actually play 4 Flame House Scythes and then 3 Chaos Degradations instead, just because of how good it really is. And then for memory boost stuff, you know, just 2 copies of Miss Memory Boost and 1 copy of the Reinforcing, just because they're just really good generic cards to have to synergize, especially in the early stages of games, and giving us more memory to work with so we can make more plays later on, which is, like I call, ultra value. So there isn't really any other tech options or tech choices with this particular deck. It is really good the way it is. I play tested it and found it really, really cool, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I wouldn't actually make too many changes to it whatsoever, and I probably wouldn't make any changes either. So once again, huge shout outs to Pro Play Games and Danny G for coming up with this super exclusive, unique, cool build. And yeah, it's really, really nice to see. Okay, how to play this Lucemon control deck. There isn't really too many combos. It's really a very heavy control style deck. So you're really just playing cards at a time, bit by bit. But let's go through what the whole situation and game progress looks like. So of course, when you hatch your egg, but of course, when it comes to mulliganing, you want to be seeing cards that are relatively low cost as early as possible. You know, seeing your Impmon and Psychmon so you can Digivolve, draw a card, that is kind of like your priority. Eismon Scatter Mode, Dobermon, these are great cards. You know, even your Kari just to set it up. Having multiple Karis is always great. And really importantly as well, Miss Memory Boost and Reinforcing Memory Boost. Now keep in mind, Reinforcing Memory Boost, you do need to set up a yellow card like a Tamer or a Digimon prior to that. We are playing a purple Digi-Egg base, so therefore, you know, reinforcing, you just got to keep in mind and double check when you're playing that too. But your main priority is also, other than just like Digivolving and playing into these guys, Digivolving to Impmon is really what you're trying to go for, is really trying to, you know, give your opponent a little bit of memory to work with. They'll pass you back to 3 or 4 or whatever it is, and your next immediate game plan is to recover as much as you can. Early stages game continuing on, you do want to push up your Impmon. You're not going to Digivolve it any further. Do not Digivolve Scatter Mode on top of Impmon just to draw one more card for when Digivolving. It's not worth it. You want to be actually hard playing your Scatter Mode in most cases because of that, so then you can make separate attacks. That's what you're trying to go for. You're still trying to push for game mainly to attack as much as you can. Anyways, swing with Impmon, you know, mill your cards, draw one, trash one. What you're really trying to do is to rack up your trash count to 10, which is really what it's all about, because that's the sweet number that gives you the most optimal value for all your other card plays. If you ever do mill Rival's Barrage, it's great. If you don't mill it, don't be too worried. As long as it gets into security, it can be a bomb potentially to really disrupt your opponent's plays. That's, again, is what it is all about. Like I mentioned, your next priority is to heal and recover as much as you can. Cards you want to then be seeing is Magna Angemon as often as possible. Just hard play the Magna Angemon for 7 costs. Use your Kari if you have it to spend to gain 1 more memory, and then you recover your security. And you just want to build a big security stack to prolong the game a little bit so you don't get taken down too quickly compared to the current meta and format, just because it's really fast paced. If you don't recover, you can lose the game very quickly. So it's really important to recover, like I mentioned. Once you racked up 10 cards in trash, this is when you can start hard playing your level 3 Lucemons. Really strong body, just for 5 costs, you can recover 1. It's a 10k body on the board, and you can make it to chip your opponent's security and use it to swing as much as you can if it ever sticks on the board. And eventually, here's when it comes to more versatile plays. When you have more cards in your trash, you can eventually then, you know, play Dead or Alive. Rarely you want to be hard playing this for 8 costs, because it does cost quite a bit. If it ever comes out in security, you know, the cards you want to actually throw away in the trash is actually even Chaos Mode sometimes, so that you can play the Chaos Mode back from your trash, pop something that your opponent has during their turn, so it's almost like a trap card, and then you can gain a ton of advantage over that and disrupt their plays that way. Sometimes you might want to Digivolve it on top for 7 costs, which is quite a lot to pay, but, you know, think twice before doing that, because when you do Digivolve Chaos Mode, then, you know, you want to have wider bodies to make wider attacks. That's really, you know, the whole idea. But if you really have to Digivolve it just because it's a great memory, 7 costs is good at that moment, go for it. Having Doberman is great as well as a tech, you know, in early stages of the game. You chip away again, you trash 3, and then you get to grab something back as well, is what you're going for. Now again, as you continue to rack up more cards in trash, what you want to do with your Magna Angemon is either Digivolve it into Ophanimon Fall Down mode to recover more, or Digivolve it into Shadow Seraphimon, depending on the matchup, to control the board, because Shadow Seraphimon is really good against certain decks to de-Digivolve them, especially when it comes to Shine Gray too. If Shine Gray tries to like swing with their Marcus, they Digivolve into it, you de-Digivolve them back. And it's just really good when it comes to that. And if Shadow Seraphi is in threat, you get to recover 1 back again. And once you have a big mega body on the board, you just keep swinging and swinging and swinging. Not to worry about it getting deleted, because both Ophanimon Fall Down mode and Shadow Seraphimon has somewhat of like a on deletion value when it comes to that. So eventually, you know, you're gonna again rack up your trash, and this is when you get to play your Gallantmon. Count your opponent's trash, count your own trash, and make sure you play Gallantmon when you don't have any Digimon, because otherwise you can't reduce its play cost. So if you ever have a clear board, you can go ahead, Gallantmon by itself. You know, if you start your turn at 3, you might just pay 1 or 3, go down to 0, and then you just immediately pop something 6k or less, if not 13k or higher. You can swing over something, it's 13k base, it's pretty strong. Otherwise, you can swing at security with its rush, and then repeat that same combo with the same effect again to pop something either 6k or lower, or 13k or higher, just like that with Gallantmon. Now, also really neat thing sometimes is with your Rival's Barrage, you really want to save it up when you really need to grab a specific card for the specific situation. Don't use your Rival's Barrage without thinking twice, just because you only really have one chance and one shot at it. You don't see it as often compared to Lucemon, but when you do see it, make sure it counts. Whether if you're grabbing back cards like this Metal Gurumon Ace, for example, since I only play one copy, or since this deck only runs one copy, you might want to grab it back so then you can hand trap your opponents during the counter area section as well, and continue to recover again and again and again. If your opponent comes to you, then that's when you get into it, trash 3 cards from your hand, gain memory, and then pass turn back to you just like that, which is really good. So of course, you know, other than just building your security and kind of like stalling the game out, but at the same time, you are playing aggressive approach. You are trying to take down your opponent's security at the same time, chip them away as much as you can, take their security down, and then you win that way with this particular deck. And it's just pretty straightforward. It is control based. So then again, you're recovering a lot. So what do you guys think about this new editing style and approach to all these new deck profile videos? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like it and want to see more, watch this video right here. It's going to be really cool. More deck profiles and stuff and content too. But yeah, I just realized that there's not a whole lot of gameplay video when it comes to Lucemon Control, and I know you guys definitely want to watch it, so definitely stay tuned for that. It's coming real soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you next video. This is AVAULT signing out.